Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gaura Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gaura Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gaura Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gaura Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayaya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayaya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaura
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda.
Gopala Gopina Rama, Madana Mohana,
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Gopina Rama, Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana 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 Mohana. Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga. Hello, Krsna. Jaya Jaya Shri Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shri Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Prabhu Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te. Haribol Namaste. So let us continue our study program where we left yesterday. And now we'll read again a guidance from Srila Rupa Goswami. It is connected with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Lord Krishna is telling us, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Give up all varieties of religion. Just surrender unto me. I'll protect you. To those who are constantly devoted unto me, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So I'll read the teachings of Rupa Goswami regarding performing all endeavors for Krishna. It is about one-pointedly doing the will of Lord Krishna, to please Him, doing the will of God, to be in harmony with His desire, to be in harmony with what He wants. So our life's world should be in parallel with the focus of meditating and endeavoring to surrender to the desire of the Supreme Person. Performing all endeavors for Krishna. In the Narada Pancharatra, there is a statement how one can act in all spheres of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It's stated there that a person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kinds of activities. Those prescribed in the revealed scriptures, and also those which are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the revealed scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such a material possession for the service of the Lord. So, last time, I was reminded by our spiritual master what Arjuna did. He offered his life. He did what Lord Krishna wants him to do, to fight. He used his sword, his inclination as a warrior, and acted to do the will of the Supreme Person. And he succeeded. And when Lord Krishna asked him about, during that time, about his decisions, what he will do after hearing from Lord Krishna, his friend, the Supreme Person, he said, he decided, he is committed to fulfilling the desire of the Supreme Person. So it's a relationship between doing the will of the Supreme Person in servitude and in friendship. One's heart, one's love is dedicated in pleasing the Supreme Person, just like what Arjuna did. Being a surrendered soul, in the Hari Bhakta Bilasa, there is a following statement about self-surrender. My dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and words, can actually relish transcendental bliss. In the Nrsimha Purana, Lord Nrsimhadev says, anyone who prays unto me and takes shelter from me becomes my ward. I protect him always from all sorts of calamities. So the teachings of Rupa Goswami helps us, assists us to be one-pointedly focused upon doing the will of the Supreme Person, to be trusting, to have this surrender and protection by doing the will, the desire, what's in the heart, the life, the love of the Supreme Person. So I'll read here the pastimes of Lord Krishna that is connected with the devotee's attitude, the desire, the willingness to be abiding and to be always doing the desire and the will of the Supreme Person. So 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna came here in this planet Earth to perform his pastimes in Vrindavan. And he established real religion, which is our eternal, natural position and function to render loving service to him. And when we are here now, practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, aspiring to be devoted, to be in harmony with the will of the Supreme Person, our heart, our mind, our whole being, we have this guidance where we can find strength, foundation, and shelter and refuge without a doubt, because it is personally exemplified by Lord Krishna taking care of his devotees and assurance from the Supreme Person under the guidance of Srila Rupa Goswami, our instructing spiritual master, and our dear spiritual master who gives us instruction. So we simply follow that and we will be one-pointedly focused, because at the time we do it, we experience in our life to do the will of someone. Because previously in this world, prior to coming in contact with the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna, it's our will. And we become frustrated and empty and separated from that relationship. So now, we come to the point of experiencing this humbleness. And not only that, we begin to see how we are separated, how we have become separated from that desire of the Supreme Person due to the conditioning of the three modes of material nature. So Lord Krishna protects us. Material nature is insurmountable. The three modes of material nature, it's very hard to transcend it. But with this guidance that Lord Krishna is giving us, Lord Nrsimhadev, who protected Prahlad in the midst of adversity, wherein to the point that his life is in danger. All he did was to surrender and remember the Supreme Person, just like Arjuna. So now I read the pastimes of Lord Krishna worshipping Govardhan Hill. While engaged with the Brahmanas, who were too involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balaram also saw the cowherd men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that if he simply engage in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligation. A pure devotee of the Lord Krishna doesn't have to perform any of the ritualistic function enjoined in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. Just by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshipping the demigods, one does not develop devotional service for Krishna. But one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord has already finished all Vedic injunctions. Krishna ordered a stop to all such activities by his devotees, for he wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. Krishna knew the cowherd men were preparing for Indra's sacrifice because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead. But as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from the elder personalities like Maharaj Nanda and others. Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such sacrifice? And for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I'm very anxious to know this procedure. So please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna or sacrifice. Krishna, however, persisted. "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there is no secrecy, for they do not think anyone to be a friend or enemy, because they are always open to everyone. And even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be secret for the family members and friends, although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are, and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. A person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result. One who acts without knowledge does not get such perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice which you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunctions? Or it's simply a popular ceremony? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice. On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaj Nanda replied, My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra, and the clouds are his representatives. And because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of the rainfall. Maharaj Indra, we are arranging therefore to pacify King Indra, because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down sufficient quantity of rains for successful agricultural activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grains. We cannot even live if there is no rainfall. It is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. Therefore, we should not give up the traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up, being influenced by lust or greed or fear, then it does not look very good for him. Upon hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the cowherd men of Vrindavan, spoke in such a way as to make heavenly King Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifice. His reason for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshipping the demigods are simply temporary, and only those who are less intelligent are interested with temporary results. Secondly, whatever temporary results one derives from worshipping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita, Maiva Bitam Hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. But sometimes the demigods become puffed up by the influence of material nature, thinking themselves as all in all. They try to forget the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's clearly stated, the instance Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry, Krishna's advent was specially meant for annihilation of the demons and protection of his devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon. But because he was puffed up, arrogant, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first tried to make Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which was arranged by the cowherd men on Vrindavan. With this purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist supporting the philosophy of Paramahamsa. Advocates of this type of philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the Personality of Godhead. They put forward the argument that if anyone works nicely, the result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his spiritive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. They say that instead of worshiping a demigod or God, people should give attention to their own duties, and thus the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to this principle of the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of your need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of your agriculture activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and lives this life simply taking the result of the present karma. Everyone is born in different types of species of life according to his past activities. And he gets his next birth according to the activities of this life. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts, the disadvantage of life are different result of different kinds of activities, either from the past or the present life. Maharaj Nanda and others elderly members argued that without satisfying the predominating demigods, one cannot derive any good result simply by material activities. This is actually a fact. For example, it is sometimes found that in spite of a first-class medical help, the treatment by a first-class physician, a diseased person dies. It is concluded, therefore, that first-class medical treatment or the attempt of a first-class physician are not in themselves the cause for curing a patient. There must be the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, a father and mother taking care of their children is not the cause of children's comfort. Sometimes it is found that in spite of all the care by the parents, the children go bad or succumb to death. Therefore, material causes are not sufficient for result. There must be the sacrifice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Maharaj therefore advocated that in order to get good result for agricultural activities, they must satisfy Indra, the superintending deity of the rain supply. Lord Krishna nullified this argument, saying that the demigods give result only to persons who have executed their prescribed duties. The demigods cannot give any good result to the person who has not executed the prescribed duties. Therefore, demigods are dependent on the execution of the duties and are not absolute in awarding good result to anyone. My dear Father Krishna, there is no need to worship the demigod Indra. Lord Krishna said everyone is to achieve the result of his work. We can actually see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work. And according to the natural tendency, all living entities, either human beings or demigods, achieve their respective result. All living entities achieve higher or lower bodies and create enemies, friends or neutral parties, only because of their different kind of work. One should be careful to discharge duties according to his natural instinct and not divert attention to the worship of various demigods. The demigods will be satisfied by proper execution of all duties. So there is no need to worship them. Let us rather perform our prescribed duties very nicely. Actually, one cannot be happy without executing his proper prescribed duties. One who does not, therefore, properly discharge his prescribed duties is compared with an unchaste woman. The proper prescribed duty of the Brahmanas is to study the Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, the Kshatriyas or warrior, is engagement in protecting the citizens. The proper duty of Vaishya community, trade and protection of the cows. And the proper duty of the Sudra is service to the higher classes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, warriors, Vaishyas, and mercantile community. We belong to the Vaishya community. And our proper duty is to farm, or to trade with agricultural produce, or to protect cows, or to take to banking. Krishna identified himself with the Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj was protecting many cows, and Krishna was taking care of them. He enumerated 4 kinds of business engagement for the Vaishya community, namely agriculture, trade, protection of cows, and banking. Although the Vaishyas can take to any of these occupations, the men of Vrindavan were engaged primarily in the protection of the cows. Krishna further explained to his father, this cosmic manifestation is going on under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These 3 modes are the causes of creation, maintenance, and destruction. The cloud is caused by the action The cloud is caused by the action of passion. Therefore, it is the mode of passion which causes the rainfall. And after all the rainfall, the living entities derive the result. Success in agriculture work. What then has Indra to do with this affair? Even if you do not please Indra, what can he do? We do not derive any special benefit from Indra. Even if he is there, he pours water on the ocean also. When he is there, where there is no need of water. So he's pouring water in the ocean or in the land. It does not depend on our worshiping him. As far as we are concerned, we do not need to go to another city or village or foreign country. There are palatial buildings in the cities, but we are satisfied living in the forest of Vrindavan. Our specific relationship is with Govardhan Hill and Vrindavan forest, and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear father, to begin a sacrifice which will satisfy the local Brahmanas and Govardhan Hill, and let us have nothing to do with Indra. After hearing this statement by Krsna, Nanda Maharaj replied, My dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmanas and Govardhan Hill. But for the present, let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Yajna. But Krishna replied, My dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhan and the local Brahmanas will take much time. Better take the arrangement and paraphernalia you have already made for satisfying Indra Yajna and immediately engage it to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local Brahmanas. Maharaj Nanda relented. The cowherd man then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the yajna performed. And Krishna gave them the following direction. Prepare very nice foodstuff of all description from the grains and ghee collected for the yajna. Prepare rice, dal, then halava, pakora, puri, and all kinds of milk preparation like sweet rice, sweet balls, sandesa, rasagula, and ladu. And invite the learned Brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblation to the fire. The Brahmanas should be given all kinds of grains in charity. Then decorate all the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money in charity to the Brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as dogs and lower grades of people, such as chandalas or the fifth class of men who are considered untouchable, they also may be given sumptuous prasadam. After giving nice grasses to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. In this statement, Lord Krishna practically described the whole economy of the Vaishya community. In all communities of human society and in the animal kingdom, among the cows, the dogs, the goats, etc., everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation for the total benefit of the society, which include not only animate objects but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for economic improvement of the society by producing grains, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance. From this statement, we learn also that the cats and dogs, although not so important, are not to be neglected. Cow protection is actually more important than the protection of cat and dogs. Another hint we get from this statement is that the chandalas or the untouchable are also not to be neglected by the higher classes. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society, and some are only indirectly responsible. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone totally benefit. When Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of. Sankirtan. The sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja is observed in the Krishna consciousness movement. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that since Krishna is worshipable, so his land, Vrindavan and Govardhan Hill are also worshipable. To confirm this statement, Lord Krishna said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him. From that day, the Govardhan Puja has still been going on and is known as Anakuta. In all the temples of Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. Sometimes the food is thrown to the crowds and they enjoy collecting it off the ground. From these instances, we can understand that prasadam offered to Krishna never becomes polluted or contaminated, even if it's thrown on the ground. The people therefore collect it and eat it with great satisfaction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, therefore advised the coward men to stop the Indra Yajna and begin the Govardhan Puja in order to chastise Indra, who was very much puffed up at becoming the supreme controller of the heavenly planets. The honest and simple coward men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail everything he advised. They performed Govardhan worship and circumambulation of the hill. Following the inauguration of Govardhan Puja, people in Vrindavan still dressed nicely and assemble near Govardhan Hill to offer worship and circumambulate the hill, leading their cows all around. According to the instruction of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj and the coward men called in learned brahmanas and began to worship Govardhan Hill by chanting Vedic hymns and offering prasadam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan assembled together, decorated their cows, gave them grass. Keeping the cows in front, they began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. The gopis also dressed themselves very luxuriantly and sat in bull-driven carts, chanting the glories of Krishna's pastimes. Assembled there to act as priests for Govardhan Puja, the brahmanas offered them blessing to the coward men, their wives, the gopis. Then everything was complete. Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. Devotees therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because the worship is as good as deity worship. The form of Krishna who began to eat the offering was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, began to offer obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. The form of Krishna who began to eat the offering was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, began to offer obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. In offering obeisances to the huge form of Krishna himself and Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, "Just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed the huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the blessings. Just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings." Krishna also declared at that meeting, "One who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and person neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Hill will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows themselves, all the people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me." Thus performing Govardhan Hill Puja, Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan follow the instruction of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and afterwards they return to their respective homes. So I'll read again to recap what we have heard from our instructing spiritual master, Rupa Goswami, who is coming in the long line of spiritual master from associates of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna himself, performing all endeavors for Krishna. In the Narada Pancharatra, there is a statement how one can act in all spheres of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It's stated that there is that person who is it's stated that a person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kinds of activities, those prescribed in the revealed scriptures, and also those which are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the revealed scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such material possession for the service of the Lord, performing all endeavors for Lord Krishna. This is exemplified by the residents of Vrindavan, who are all engaged in pure devotional service with the Supreme Person. So that should be our focus and meditation in our life. We should see how we fall far short from this surrender to doing the desire, the will, or the instruction of the Supreme Person. And the perfect example are the residents of Vrindavan, who offered in all their endeavors to do the will, the desire of the Supreme Person. Thank you very much. Haribol Namaste. So we will continue the next pastimes or story of Lord Krishna that is connected with the story tomorrow, so we can be guided and be one-pointedly in this transcendental truck, in this bandwagon of Lord Chaitanya, to be riding this bandwagon, receiving the transcendental breeze of pure devotional service that will touch our heart, that will make us close, very close, with the will, the desire of the Supreme Person. And we can see how where we are situated, and we should make effort to be guided by the residents of Vrindavan and the instruction of Lord Krishna. Haribol Namaste. So let's have a short chant.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Surhaya, Radha Krishna Prastaya. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Surhaya, Radha Krishna. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna
Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama.
Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya
Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga Jai Jaya Gurudev Jai Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Paramahamsa namine Gaura Karuna Sarupaya Radha Krishna Pastate Vaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bol Namaste.